Hello, hello. Welcome to Peace Pat Paints. I'm Pat. I paint things on here on the YouTubes. Yeah, tiny things, little miniature guys. Sometimes we do some. Never anything really that big. I mean, I've done that before, but it's hard to do on like my setup. Maybe when we get, maybe if you guys can help me get enough YouTube dollars, we can get some land. But you know, for now, it's fun. Miniatures are fun. They're a good time. And you can do a lot of fun things with them and make them look different ways and stuff like that. So, and that's what we do. So, anyway, let's get right to the fun part. Y'all didn't really come to look at my face. You came to look at my hands. We're gonna see how far I get today. I'm having one of these things with my whatever goes on with my head, or body or whatever. It's hard to tell. I don't know. It's like things get hit pause, then I have to like sit there and I can't really move. I have to just wait for it to pass. It's awful. Anyway, this guy's pretty much finished up. I did do a little bit. I brought a little bit more of the. Anyway, you can see the color. I brought some more of this kind of blemished bronze. Was it oxidization that happens? It's just pretty simple. It's just teal and pale olive that I used that made that color. And they super thin wash and then just kind of put it in the cracks, and it works out really well. It looks good. So this guy is ready to be based. He's good to go. So I'll be basing him. We'll be working on him today. We've got a few details left to do up. So with any luck, we'll be able to knock out a good portion of this. Tilt that down just more. There we go. That's nice. That's nice. Okay, so gotta try to get to these guts today, and then there's a bunch of these little, there's little hoses that are in here, and there's a couple things I want to do with these skulls up here in this thing, and just little bitty things. This whole clove needs another round of magenta, but we're looking really good here. Got these tentacles to pull out. There's definitely plenty of stuff that needs to get done. So, if I can pick that up, there we go. We'll start off with that magenta. It's JJ. Thank you, my friend. It's definitely coming along. Oh, man. Also, I did the test colors for the Deathwatch. So, and I'm working on those too. So I'll pull those guys out here in a little bit. I love this magenta. It's such a great shade of it. This is a Winsor and Newton. And it just works so well, especially on a zenithal, because it has enough pigment to it, enough color, that it will make the blacks come up to the magenta, to like a dark magenta, and it'll make the whites, look like itself. It's such a great. Yeah, I talk all the time about pigments and how pigments and paints are all different depending on the kind of paint you were using. This particular pigment for this magenta is fabulous. Make sure I get the right consistency. Not too thick, not too thin. Totally off topic, but JJ purchased a buttload of camping gear. Yar! I used to go hardcore, but stopped a few years back before. Heck yeah, man. We went camping over the summer. We went to Bandelier, north of Santa Fe in New Mexico, and then we camped all the way through New Mexico, and then through Texas, and then back here to Oklahoma. It was a blast. I love camping. My dad was a big camper. My granddad was a big camper. My uncles were all big hunters and campers. And it's good every now and again to just take a break from the insanity and go out there into Mother Nature and remember what the world is really about. It's, you know, it's enjoying the splendor of whatever this reality is that we get to live in. And man, camping will put you in touch with the splendor. Especially if you pick some good places. Appalachian Trail, oof, that's a long march, my guy. That is a long march. I looked at that one a couple times. We did Continental Divide through Pennsylvania. Okay. We did Continental Divide through Colorado from like New Mexico to what is that? Montana? Or is that Wyoming? I think that's Wyoming. So I don't know. I was younger. It was a great trip. Hiked the Gore Range a couple times. Yeah. The Northeast is a really pretty part of it too. Not so dang hot either, man. The southern part of the Appalachians, people don't realize it can get like in the summertime, depending on when you're hiking it, hot down there. Even up in those mountains, it'll get a little warm. But then it like drops at night. It gets like super cold. Man, I love camping. We totally gotta do some of that. Man, if I ever get my thumb out of my butt and get this thing off the ground, and we get a really good thing going, it'd be fun to be able to like go tour the country and camp and like, hit the miniature shows and sell minis and stuff like that. That's a dream, right? That's a dream. My newest dream. I already lived 2 dreams. Trying to find a third one to go do. Man, it'd be so fun. Be a great retirement, like just way to keep a little bit of cheddar coming in and have a good time. So I really do enjoy hobbying. Or painting. So it's not just hobby at this point. I paint things professionally all the time now. So I guess I'm a professional painter. Speaking of which, go check my what's it called? Etsy shop if you're interested in miniatures. A lot of them have been painted on the show. You can own your very own piece. Pieces Pat Paints. Or piece that Pat Paints. I don't know, however you want to say that. I gotta figure out a good way of plugging that one. I don't know, sometimes I feel like if you get too like pluggy, it takes away from the authenticity of what you're doing. So some parts of me are like, man, now you should just keep it kind of loose and off the cuff. It looks too polished, then you start getting things too polished, and people start going, you sold out. Nice crimson on this cable here. Red and green are contrasting colors, so they'll always kind of pop off each other. So we'll do that right next to steel cable. Great. Also gotta do all those nerdlings. Been doing the hoses in Payne's Gray. And then coming back with a silver and pulling all the bits out. I love Payne's gray because at its dark point it feels like black and looks like black. You know, it has the right look to it, but it's really kind of like a bluish gray. I mean, not that there is a black in particular. like shake 'em dice tabletop RPGs. That's fun. A little LARPing. I love a good LARP. For those who don't know what LARPing is, that's live action roleplay. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what that is by this point in time. I'm not trying to sell it to intelligence. It's just, I feel like sometimes you should always explain things, especially on the internet, because you know a young person might jump on here and see it like, what the hell does that mean? Maybe they've never seen it before, or maybe you're talking to somebody who I don't know, escaped that island where they kill people who try to come on there and bring technology, and they're just now learning about the world, and they somehow stumbled onto this weird show. I don't know. Telling you, those weird attacks make my brain do. Like I think about weird crap from having these spells. I had 2 of them this morning, and I'm just like, I wonder what the consistency of space would be like when you're breathing it in as you're dying. Like, it's such weird stuff. Although vacuum, I don't think vacuum even works that way. I don't think you can actually breathe in. I think it's like pulls it out. Like it would pull your air out. Ooh, I'm gonna look that up later. I think I'm right. I think it does. I think it pulls it out. I went to space camp when I was younger, and I feel like we talked about this. Space camp was awesome, by the way. Alright, I'm gonna take a short break on that thing. I'm gonna get back to him in just a second. I'm so glad that I'm done with Death Guard. It was awesome, but I'm glad I'm done. I've had enough Death Guard, enough green. I need something. I'm glad that all this other stuff is almost all blacks and reds and metals. Because I'm like, well, although I'll probably have enough of that by the time I get to the end of that project, or the side of the project. Anyway, speaking of that, let's take a look at this. So did this guy. This is he's a Space Wolf Deathwatch. So, Deathwatch Space Wolf? I'm not exactly sure how you say that. So there's the Space Wolf side, and there's his Deathwatch side. There we go. Now I grabbed him. Kinda. Grab him again. You had it. Yeah, that's not bad. I keep saying this all the time. I gotta get in the camera. Man, inflation's just killing me though. I can't hardly get ahead. Thanks. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. He looked like, you know, one of these guys originally. So had to pull off these shoulder pauldrons and put that pauldron on. I swapped the head, added this, pulled this pauldron, added that, and I gave him the Space Wolf bolter, which is way cool. And then we're gonna do. I have at least 2 more Space Wolves to do, which we're gonna talk about this probably tomorrow. And then I have 1 Tech Marine I'm gonna build, which I think I'm gonna give him a flamethrower. Tech Marine with a flamethrower sounds pretty epic. I think I have some parts to like kit bash a different weapon for him, which might be kind of cool. I might leave him with the bolter. I don't know. It depends on how like into it I guess I get. There's a lot to go on it though. That one is part of the casualties from the spill. If I can't get it to work right, I'm gonna have to replace this intercessor. Which luckily I have like a whole shitload of them, so that's not a big deal. But it's one of those where it's like, dang it. I dropped a whole box of them after I'd been working at my daughter's dance studio. She on Tuesday. She's at dance for an exorbitant amount of time. It's probably too much personal information, but that's okay. Nobody knows where it goes. That's okay. But yeah, I come out of the building, and I come around the corner, and it's Oklahoma, so, you know, a random gust of wind decides to show up, and I should have put it in a box that locks, but I did not. And there goes all of these miniatures that I've been working on. I'm like, holy crap. We recovered all the pieces except for one. And it's like one of the chest parts to this guy that's in here. Like I said, well, I'll show him off tomorrow and show you how he's missing most of his chest. I also got to started on these guys. Deathwatch. That'll be fun. I got his Pulverin painted up Blood Angel. I'm going to do a white scars on this one. And then I started this one. And this will be the Blood Raven. Or not Blood Raven. Raven Guard. Blood Raven. Yeah. Blood Raven's some sort of other book or something. I don't know where I got that from. It's hard to like. It's hard to keep my focus when I have those. When I've been having those things. It almost makes my. It's almost like somebody put my brain in a blender and like scramble it. Sucks. All right, let's work on some nerdlings. Well, nerdlings always make me smile. Be mindful of the way the light sources work. So we're always kind of painting down to the base here. Really just kind of looking to pull out some highlights at this point. Don't want to get too heavy. We don't want to obscure their little faces. We just want to kind of pull them out. And it may take a couple rounds. I'll let it dry in between. I may want to turn a couple of them green too, so we'll finish this guy out and then we'll start the next one. It's hard to tell if that's whose body part that is. They're getting smushed under his boot. That's funny. The nerdlings on the death card always remind me of like the goofy stuff that monks used to put in the corners of manuscripts during like the Enlightenment and stuff. One green and make this next one here green. As you go through them, you'll be able to, like, I knew this would happen as we kind of get through them, we'll figure them out as you kind of start putting paint on them and separating them out. You just kind of start seeing, oh, that's this one, oh, that's that one. That's why I said just to do the horns and do everything in kind of a red, and then we'll figure it all out later. Because you will. It always kind of reveals itself. Oh. Sometimes I don't know. There's a few details in Warhammer stuff that you'll find. You're like, what even is that? That happens. Man, I want to make that Nurgling a third color. What other color do Nurglings come in? Do they have orange Nurglings? They're mostly like fleshy and green are the main colors. I guess we could make one kind of whitish. We could vary up the pink. Kind of feel like this claw should be green. Along with this creature. This is Nurgling. Kind of make one like a putrid yellow or white color, or even just like a lighter flesh tone, so we can differentiate between that one and that. Differentiate between the two that we've got here. You could easily add any kind of color to that. Just gotta think about it for a second. Kind of like the idea of ochre. The ochre's got that nice brown mustard husk, a really yellowy pus color. It's enough of a difference between the bone color really help him stand out. Here we go. I think that's another horn in there. Just barely grabbing edges, right? spend days and days messing with details on this thing. There's so many little details. It's pretty cool. And like this is, like I said, this is what we're doing here for this has a limit on it, for the amount of money that they're looking to spend and da 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 da. But you could really trick this thing out. There's a lot of stuff you could do. Putting different runes and stuff all over his cloak. I mean, man, so much, so many things. Really get crazy on these guts. We're gonna give him a pretty good look, but I'm not gonna stress it too much, just because time constraints. The project's got to be done. I only got a little bit longer to go. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and flesh color this out. We're gonna end up yellowing it, but we want to start bringing the tone up from our base coat. So, all that stuff, you gotta look at that stuff. Man, that really looks like it's still part of his. It is. Okay, so we're gonna get these boils lightened up. And that other spot is actually part of his armor. And that's a piece of entrail. That's a shard of armor. Okay. I'm just gonna put a little green in there. Got so many different colors are already going on in there. This little bit of mixing is should bring it to where it looks just right. Because this is okay. It's got some boils and stuff on it, so it's okay if it looks a little bloody. I think that's the fun part about painting Death Guard is that you need to be messy, but also deliberate. If that makes any sense, because there's lots of parts in here that are definitely lend themselves well to being just messy as hell. Some of it not so much. So you kind of have to, pick and choose here. That's a yellow ochre. Put it on that little oozy bit. Put it on this little mucus that's falling out. Come back a little bit more here in the entrails. Try to pull out a few little things. There's so many little details in here. Like I said, you could literally go on for weeks trying to get it all set up perfect. And you'd still be finding stuff probably. This whoever put this together on the model side of it did a really outstanding job. The sculptor. Just add a little very, 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 very light sap green to all the crevices here, all the shadows. Burnt sienna on this one. Okay, just trying to pick out all the crevices and shadows here. Get a little bit of depth. A little bit on the horn over here. Keep working it in. This is that pale terracotta. I put just a little bit of white in it on this last round. Really going to use that on all these places that are out. Anywhere else will come back through, and we may need to do another round. Yeah. Looks like we probably do. It's just to make sure that that shadow isn't too deep. We don't want it to look black. Now the one that's all the way under the boot. Let's see what we can do here. Just give them a little, very gentle, very deliberate edging here. Then that's highlighting, not the what we used to worry about. There's a little hand in here. It's all the way, almost all the way to the other side of his base. I think it's like grabbing onto some sort of tentacle under his foot. I'm not sure. You know, it's hard to see from the photos too. I should look more closely at it when I just put it together, but yeah, I was in a hurry. Something is definitely broken out of his boot though right here. Most of that stuff, unfortunately, even if you did do a really good job, you're not really going to see it because it's all the way up underneath him. So you want to make sure that it looks good, but don't stress yourself out. If you can't get to it, or you feel like you're spending too much time on it, or whatever, just back up and do something else for a while. If you feel like you want to come back to it later, then do so. If not, don't worry about it. Especially with things that are way up underneath. that only other painters are going to see. And other painters are going to be like, yeah, I wouldn't have messed with that either. A lot of times anyway. Like, oh, God, that's so hard. Might have been easier had I done it before I put them all together. But then again, once you do that, you run into some other problems. Dotting eyes is so much fun. Especially the breast that's started to develop its hook. This is gonna be weird. We're gonna do a little bit of a Payne's gray wash just to grab his shadows. Again, that's not black, that's a Payne's gray. It was very, ooh, I'm way the hell up there. It's very light. We're finding the right angle for those eyes. Make your whole day go crazy. Poor nerdlings. He just went stomp right on him. Squished him. Little brass doodles. Suppose you could paint these in color you want, really. I just been like having fun with the big bronzy brass. I love that little Sienna accent. It looks so good on there. As a little transition colors like that make a huge All right. Not bad for government work. Right there, right? All right. Want to base him along with the other guy. How much time we got? 43 minutes. I can probably base this guy up real quick. Although I think he's on the wrong size base. But I don't think this guy's playing in tournaments or anything. I'll tell him if he needs things rebased just to let me know and I'll do it. You can pay me. It's hard to keep up with that stuff because it'll change. You know, like in 10 minutes from me telling you it's this size, it's likely to be another size. Thanks, James Workshop. Solid. It's hilarious. Good old James. Okay. And this is why I always recommend that you get your assortment of just like shit brushes. Buy yourself a couple of these things. You can buy this like a box of these things on whatever you want, eBay or Amazon, or go to Walmart, go to your local craft store, buy a whole bunch of these. I want a little nerdling tattoo for sure. But yeah. So buy some of these cheap guys because glue, man, glue does not function like paint. Exactly. Where's my little jar of glue? I feel like I'm tripping because like I literally looked at it. So I had to move it to start today. Alright, so this is like watered down crafting glue or Elmer's glue or whatever. The brand, it doesn't actually matter. I think it's PVA is what they actually call it. I've got an assortment of different kinds of grass tufts. And some flowers too, but I feel like flowers is probably not something I want to do. But everybody else has gotten a few of these pieces. Or sorry, those and those. So that's what we're gonna do on this guy. And then what did I do with that box? Oh, there it is. So this is a nice gravel. That's good stuff. Army painter, and then these are. I said it in the last one. I've already forgotten again what they're called. Gamers Grass is this company. Now they have their own little adhesives, but don't trust those things. They will not last long. Like I said, this is pretty watered down. Try to wipe off the sides if it gets on the sides. I should say when, because it's going to. If you don't wipe off your sides, you'll end up with a bunch of stuff stuck to it. Try to be super careful when you're coming in around your stuff you painted. Little bits. You don't want it sticking all that. You want it to stick under that. And if it does stick a little bit to it, you can always move it with a pair of tweezers or whatever. You could try to do it with a toothpick, I guess, if you don't have tweezers. That sounds like a nightmare, but it is possible to do this. And here at Pieces Pat Paints, we like to talk about all the low budget ways to do things. Yeah, they were talking about hobby paints. Like, And I was saying, like, you know, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily use hobby paints on everything, but there's some certain things that, you know, the hobby paint isn't going to affect it. It's not going to be a big deal. Painting a big piece of terrain or something like that. Or you're like throwing down a base coat of on something big like that terrain, so on and so forth. But you have to get used to the consistencies, and there's just a difference in the pigments. So, you know, a pigment from a Citadel is going to be a much nicer looking than the pigment in a, you know, cheap hobby paint. Just simply just for the nature of what they are. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we want to put down some grease. Look at that little guy. I don't like that little guy. Okay. Pair of tweezers. You don't want to do it in a way that's going to obstruct too much of your work. And I don't like putting things too close to the edge of the base if I can avoid it, because I like to be able to put the flock, whatever kind of flock we're going to put. This one seems pretty easy. And, you know, and you could add skulls or whatever. It's my favorite part. Shimmy them down in there. I don't know why I find that so amusing. I do. You did right, you know. Stick right to it. Bada boom, bada boom, bada bing, bing, boom. Looks real nice. Now, I'll tell you this next little step. This is where you know, you separate the experienced from the novice. So this is the same glue. It's even waterier. It's very watery. You can see how it's like milk. And it has a dropper. Now, don't get too crazy because you'll wash your stuff away. But if you'll just gently apply a little bit of glue to your flock from here and let this dry, especially gravel. I don't have quite as much problem with the grass. The grass is like really thick, but I even do it on my grass. But if it's gravel, in particular, I definitely like try to lock it down. And just make sure it's super light. You want it to be, and you can see that's almost like water coming out of there. Like the milk consistency is the key. I like this little dropper because you can get like right there where I got in behind it. Try to keep it off of the frickin' model path. And there's some basic. Haha, pretty fast, easy. If you keep all the stuff in the right places. So remember, you got one thin down glue to put it on, and this is like a paint consistency glue here. And then you got one that's super wet. And this is, I use Eileen's craft glue. I don't know what everybody else uses, but I use, or Mod Podge. Mod Podge is great. I love Mod Podge. But both of those, Eileen's is a little thicker. Mod Podge's already starts out really thin. So I think I have both. Just because I used both. They're all, it's all good stuff. So anyway. Looking spiffy. Hideous. Absolutely ugly. So gnarly looking. It's great. This is such a great set of models. It's so fun. He looks so good, and like him being that older, you can see that you can see the difference in him and all the other Marines. He's gonna look a little bit different, so it's gonna really play off with that idea of. Hey, no problem, man. Have a good one. Yeah, we're almost done anyway. But yeah, looks great. Looks great. All right. Well, tomorrow we're gonna come back and we're gonna do some kit bashing to start getting our Deathwatch stuff ready. I gotta base this guy, so yeah, I'll do that off camera, and then yeah, should be a lot of fun. We're gonna do at least one Tech Marine and 2 Space Wolves, so and then we'll turn them into Deathwatch. Should be cool. I need to pull this down. Why am I all the way up there? So here we go. Now you can see me. Now you can see my lovely face. Anyway, thanks everybody who stopped by. Always great trying with you, JJ. Really appreciate you. And anybody, I know a lot of people watching. They don't do the chat thing, which is totally fine. You should never feel obligated to say things ever. I don't think that's just, and you should never be kept from saying things. Just the way it should go. Yeah, that's all I got for today. So we'll be back tomorrow. Be good to yourselves. Be good to somebody else. Be good to yourself. Yeah. Just, do some good out there. We'll talk to you later. Bye.